My ex stole my savings. I planned revenge with her. She took everything. A shadowy text arrived. I never thought I'd fall for someone like Jake. I met him at a crowded coffee shop in downtown Seattle, the kind where baristas yell your name over the hiss of espresso machines. He was charming, with a crooked smile that made my knees weak. I was 28, fresh out of a toxic relationship, still piecing myself together. Jake seemed like a dream. He listened as I spilled my heart out about my ex, how he'd torn me down. Jake's eyes softened. He promised he'd never hurt me. We started dating fast. Too fast, looking back. Jake was a tech consultant, always in sharp blazers, tossing around terms like blockchain and startup. He sent roses to my office in Belltown, left voicemails just to say he missed me. For 10 months, he was perfect. I'd lie awake at night, picturing our future, maybe a house in Fremont, a dog, the works. I trusted him completely. That was my mistake. One morning, I woke up to an empty bed. Jake's side was cold, his clothes, his laptop, his toothbrush gone. My stomach churned as I called his phone, straight to voicemail. I tore through our apartment, a tiny place near Pike Place Market. My watch, a gift from my mom, was missing. So were my diamond earrings, my emergency cash from the dresser. I logged into my bank account, hands shaking. My savings, $80,000, built from years of scraping by, it was gone. Every cent. I sat on the floor, staring at the screen. My chest tightened, like someone was squeezing the air out of me. Jake hadn't just left. He'd robbed me blind. I called him again, left voicemails, sent texts that never delivered. Nothing. I checked his social media. His profiles were deleted. It was like he'd never existed. My mind raced. How could I have been so stupid? I'd told him everything, my passwords, my dreams, my fears. He'd played me from the start. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed with notifications, but none were from Jake. I kept picturing him somewhere tropical, sipping cocktails with my money. Rage boiled inside me, hot and sharp. I wanted to scream, to break something. But more than that, I wanted answers. How could someone fake love so well? I'd given him my heart, and he'd taken everything else. I didn't tell my family. They'd never let me live it down. My sister would call me reckless. My dad would lecture me on better judgment. I was alone in this, drowning in shame. My rent was due in a week, and I had nothing left. I'd been so careful, saving every penny, and now I was broke. Worse than broke, betrayed. Jake had turned my life into a nightmare, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he was laughing somewhere, counting my cash. The days after Jake vanished felt like a bad dream. I sat in my Seattle apartment, staring at the eviction notice taped to the door. Rent was overdue, and my bank account was a ghost town. $80,000 gone. I'd been so proud of that savings, every dollar earned from late nights at my marketing job. Now, I couldn't even buy groceries. My landlord wasn't patient. He gave me a week to pack up and leave. I stuffed what I could into my beat-up Honda. Clothes, a few books, a chipped coffee mug from my mom. The rest got left behind. I drove aimlessly through Seattle's rainy streets, parking near Gasworks Park to avoid suspicion. Sleeping in my car was miserable. The back seat was cramped, and every noise made me jump. I kept my phone charged at gas stations, hoping Jake would call. He didn't. Instead, debt collectors blew up my phone. Credit card bills, student loans, all piling up. I ignored them until my voicemail overflowed. Humiliation burned deep. I'd had it all: a decent job, a cute apartment near Pike Place, a life I'd built from scratch. Now I was homeless, living out of my car at 28. I couldn't face my family. My sister would roll her eyes, say I should have seen Jake's lies coming. My dad would give me that disappointed look, like I'd failed some test. I didn't call them. I couldn't handle the pity or the "I told you so's." Weeks passed, and I was falling apart. I lost my job after missing too many shifts. My boss said I wasn't reliable anymore. I wanted to scream that I was sleeping in my car, that my life was stolen, but I just nodded and left. I ate cheap fast food, my stomach twisting from stress and hunger. Every day felt heavier, like I was sinking into a hole I couldn't climb out of. Then I thought of Lily. We'd been best friends since college, bonding over late-night study sessions and bad campus coffee. Life had pulled us apart after graduation, but she was still the one person I could trust. I hesitated, my pride screaming not to ask for help, but I was desperate. I called her from a McDonald's parking lot, my voice shaking. I spilled everything: Jake, the money, the eviction. Lily didn't hesitate. "Pack your stuff. You're staying with me." Her apartment in Capitol Hill was small but cozy, with mismatched furniture and plants everywhere. She cleared out her spare room, just a tiny space with a futon, but it felt like a palace compared to my car. That first night, I collapsed on the futon, tears streaming down my face. Relief hit me hard. Someone still cared. Lily didn't ask for details or judge me. She just handed me a cup of tea and said, "We'll figure this out." Living with Lily gave me a lifeline. I started picking up shifts at a coffee shop in Fremont, pouring lattes for tech bros and tourists. The pay was awful, but it was something. I tried to rebuild, applying for better jobs, but my mind kept circling back to Jake. He was out there, probably living it up in some fancy condo, my money funding his lies. The thought made my blood boil. I couldn't let it go. Lily noticed my anger. One night, over cheap wine, she asked what was eating me. I admitted I couldn't stop thinking about Jake, how he'd ruined me. She frowned, her voice soft but firm. "You can't let him win, Emma. You're stronger than this." Her words stuck, but they didn't erase the rage. I wanted Jake to feel what I felt: lost, betrayed, broken. I didn't know how yet, but I swore I'd make him pay. Lily's words echoed in my head, but they couldn't drown out the fire in my chest. Jake had taken everything: my money, my stability, my trust. I pictured him laughing, spending my $80,000 on some flashy car or a penthouse view. The thought made my fists clench. I wasn't going to let him walk away. Not like this. I wanted him to hurt, to feel the same gut punch I did when I saw my empty bank account. I was crashing at Lily's place in Capitol Hill, pouring coffee at a Fremont shop to scrape by. Every dollar I earned went to basics: food, gas, a cheap phone plan. But my mind wasn't on surviving. It was on Jake. I couldn't rebuild my life knowing he was out there, free, while I was drowning. I needed to find him. I needed to make this right. One night, I sat on Lily's futon, scrolling through my phone, researching private investigators. It felt crazy, like something out of a movie, but I was desperate. I found a guy named Mike, a PI based in Seattle with decent reviews. His website promised discreet results. I called him, my voice shaky, and spilled the whole story: Jake, the theft, the betrayal. Mike was calm, professional. He said he could track Jake down, but it'd cost me a lot. I didn't have much. The coffee shop paid barely enough to cover my share of Lily's rent. Mike's retainer was $5,000 upfront, plus weekly fees. My stomach twisted at the number. I told Lily about it over breakfast, hoping she'd back me up. She didn't. "Emma, this is insane," she said, stirring her coffee. "You're broke. Why throw more money at this? Let it go." Her eyes were full of worry, but I couldn't listen. Letting go meant letting Jake win. I made a choice I swore I'd never make again. I applied for a new credit card. I'd sworn off credit after Jake's mess, but I had no other way to pay Mike. Sitting at Lily's kitchen table, I stared at the online application. My finger hovered over the submit button. This was a risk, piling debt on top of debt. But if I found Jake, if I got my money back, it'd be worth it. I hit submit. The approval came through instantly. $10,000 limit, enough to start. I met Mike at a diner near Lake Union. He was older, grizzled, with a notepad full of scribbles. I handed over the retainer, my hands trembling. It was credit card money, not mine, but it still hurt. Mike asked for everything I knew about Jake: his habits, his favorite bars, his fake charm. I gave him photos, old texts, anything that might help. He nodded, said he'd start digging. "Give me a couple weeks," he said. "I'll find him." Lily wasn't happy when I told her I'd hired Mike. We were watching TV, some dumb reality show, when I let it slip. "You did what?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Emma, you're going to bury yourself in debt." I shrugged, trying to play it cool. "It's temporary. Once I get my money back, I'll pay it off." She shook her head, her lips tight. "This isn't you. Revenge won't fix this." I wanted to argue, but deep down I was scared she was right. Still, I couldn't stop. Jake had to pay. I'd make sure of it, no matter the cost. 2 weeks felt like forever, but Mike came through. I was wiping down tables at the Fremont coffee shop when my phone buzzed. His voice was gruff. "Found your guy. Jake's in Portland, Oregon, living under the name Ethan Carter." My heart skipped. Portland was close, just a 3-hour drive from Seattle. Mike sent me photos: Jake at a bar, laughing, my money probably buying his drinks. I gripped my phone, rage flooding back. He thought he'd gotten away with it. Mike's report was detailed. Jake was renting a sleek apartment in Portland's Pearl District, flashing cash like he owned the place. Fake ID, fake name, but same old Jake: charming, slippery, a liar. I wanted to drive down there, confront him, scream in his face, but that wouldn't get my $80,000 back. I needed a plan, someone who could outsmart him. That's when I thought of Rachel. Rachel and I went way back, from wild college nights in Seattle. She wasn't like Lily, all steady and kind. Rachel was chaos smart, fearless, and always up for trouble. We'd drifted apart after graduation, but I knew she'd be perfect for this. She thrived on schemes, always one step ahead. I found her number in an old group chat, my hands shaky as I typed. "Rachel, it's Emma. I need your help. It's big." We met at a dive bar in Belltown. Rachel hadn't changed: sharp eyes, leather jacket, a smirk that screamed trouble. I told her everything. Jake, the theft, my life falling apart. Her eyes lit up when I mentioned the money. $80,000? That's bold, even for a sleaze like him. I laid out my idea. I wanted to ruin Jake, not just take his money, but break him emotionally, like he'd broken me. Rachel leaned back, sipping her beer. "What's in it for me?" I promised her a cut 20% of whatever we got back. It hurt to offer, but I needed her. Rachel grinned. "Deal. Let's burn this guy down." My stomach fluttered with excitement, but a small voice warned me to be careful. Rachel was sharp, but she wasn't loyal. Still, I pushed the doubt aside. This was my shot. The plan was simple but risky. Rachel would move to Portland, get close to Jake, play the perfect girlfriend, just like he'd done to me. She'd gain his trust, get access to his accounts, and we'd take everything. I'd stay in Seattle, coordinating with her, keeping my hands clean. Rachel loved it. "He won't see me coming," she said, her voice dripping with confidence. I believed her. She was a natural. Rachel packed up and left for Portland the next week. I stayed at Lily's, working my coffee shop shifts, my mind racing. Lily still didn't know about the plan. I'd told her I dropped the PI, lied to keep her from worrying. Guilt gnawed at me, but I couldn't stop now. Every night I checked my phone, waiting for Rachel's updates. She sent me a selfie from a Portland bar, all smiles and tight dresses. "Target acquired," she texted. My heart pounded. This was real. Rachel was a pro. She bumped into Jake at a trendy spot in the Pearl District, played the flirty stranger. Within days, they were texting. She fed me every detail: how he bragged about his investments, how he bought her drinks with my money. I hated him more with every message, but I also felt a thrill. We were closing in. Rachel was my weapon, and Jake didn't stand a chance. Still, as I lay awake on Lily's futon, doubt crept in. Could I trust Rachel? She was in this for the money, not for me. I shoved the thought away. This had to work. Jake had to pay. Rachel was a force of nature. She texted me from Portland, her messages buzzing with energy. "Met Jake at a bar in the Pearl District. He's eating out of my hand." I could picture her, all charm and calculated smiles, reeling him in. I was stuck in Seattle, slinging coffee at the Fremont shop, but my mind was in Portland. Every update from Rachel felt like a step closer to justice. Jake had stolen my life. Now we'd steal his. She worked fast. Within a week, she was in Jake's orbit. They went on dates, fancy dinners, rooftop cocktails, all paid with my $80,000. Rachel sent me photos. photos. Jake grinning, oblivious, while she played the doting date. He's so cocky, she texted. Thinks he's untouchable. My blood boiled. I wanted to scream, to storm into Portland and confront him. But Rachel was my weapon, and she was sharper than I'd ever be. She knew how to play him. At a club one night, she wore a red dress that turned heads. Jake couldn't take his eyes off her. They danced, his hands on her waist, her laughter fake but flawless. She told me every detail, how he bragged about his business deals, how he flashed cash like a king. Each message stoked my anger, but also my hope. Rachel was getting close. Soon, we'd have him. By week 3, Jake was hooked. Rachel said he was calling her babe, texting her goodnight. She played the part perfectly, mirroring the devotion I'd once shown him. It made me sick, but I admired her skill. She got him to open up about his finances, dropping hints about wanting to help manage his money. Jake, the idiot, fell for it. He's giving me access to his accounts, she texted one night. My heart raced. This was it. I was at Lily's apartment, curled up on her futon when Rachel called. Emma, he's in. I've got his login. Her voice was giddy, like we'd already won. I sat up, my pulse pounding. Are you sure? I asked, barely breathing. Dead sure, she said. He thinks I'm moving in with him. Handed over his bank details like it was nothing. I couldn't believe it. Jake, the con man, was getting conned. We planned the next steps carefully. Rachel set up a new account under a fake name, some shell company she knew how to create. She'd done this before, she said, and I didn't ask questions. My job was to stay in Seattle, keep my nose clean, and let her handle the dirty work. We'd siphon Jake's money slowly, small transfers to avoid suspicion, then drain it all in one go. It's foolproof, Rachel said. I wanted to believe her. Every night I checked the dummy account. Rachel sent screenshots, 500 here, 1,000 there, all flowing from Jake's accounts. My money, my life, coming back to me. I felt a rush, like I was finally taking control. But I was nervous too. This wasn't legal. If we got caught, it'd be bad. I pushed the thought away. Jake deserved this. He'd left me homeless, broken. This was justice. Lily noticed I was on edge. One evening, we were eating takeout in her Capitol Hill kitchen when she asked, "You okay, Emma? You're jumpy." I lied, said it was work stress. She didn't buy it. "If this is about Jake, let it go," she said, her eyes serious. "You're better than this." Guilt hit me hard. I hadn't told her about Rachel or the plan. I hated lying to her, but I was in too deep. I mumbled something about being fine and changed the subject. Rachel's texts kept me going. "Almost there," she wrote one night, with a screenshot of another transfer. My heart pounded as the balance grew. We were so close. Jake had no idea what was coming. I imagined his face when he realized his accounts were empty, his world crumbling like mine had. It felt good, too good. I should have known better than to trust that feeling. The plan was perfect, or so I thought. Rachel had siphoned nearly all of Jake's money, my $80,000, into our dummy account. I was at Lily's apartment in Seattle, refreshing the banking app like a maniac. The balance was there, growing with every transfer. My heart raced with every update. We were so close to pulling it off. I could almost taste the victory, imagining Jake's panic when he realized he'd been played. Then Rachel went silent. I'd texted her after the final transfer, expecting her usual cocky reply. Nothing. Hours passed. I checked my phone, my stomach twisting. No calls, no messages. I sent another text, keeping it light. "Hey, everything good?" No response. By midnight, I was pacing Lily's living room, my hands sweaty. Something was wrong. I called her. Straight to voicemail. My chest tightened. This wasn't part of the plan. I opened our chat. Rachel's profile was gone. No picture, no username, just a blank space. I froze, my breath catching. I checked Instagram, Facebook, even her old Snapchat. Blocked. Everywhere. A cold wave crashed over me. Rachel hadn't just ghosted me. She'd taken the money and run. My money. Jake's accounts were empty, and now so was our dummy account. She'd drained it all. I sank onto Lily's couch, my phone slipping from my hand. My head spun. How could I be so stupid? Rachel was chaos. Always had been. I'd known that, deep down, but I trusted her. I thought we were in this together. My throat burned with rage, with shame. I'd been played again, just like with Jake. The irony hit me like a punch. I'd schemed to ruin him, only to get screwed over by my own ally. Lily was asleep, oblivious to my panic. I couldn't tell her. She'd warned me about chasing revenge, and I'd lied to her face. Now I was deeper in debt, with nothing to show for it. The credit card I'd used for the PI was maxed out. My coffee shop job barely covered rent. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. Rachel was out there, probably laughing, spending my money, the same money Jake had stolen. It was a sick cycle, and I was the fool at the center. I couldn't let this stand. Rachel thought she'd won, but I wasn't done. I knew things about her old secrets from college, shady deals she'd bragged about. She wasn't untouchable. My fingers hovered over my phone. I could call her out, threaten to expose her, but would it work? She was slippery, just like Jake. I felt trapped, suffocated by my own mistakes. The thrill of revenge was gone, replaced by a hollow ache. I barely slept that night. Every creak of Lily's apartment made me jump, like Rachel might appear and taunt me. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a miracle. A text, a call, anything. Nothing came. By morning, my eyes were heavy, my body drained, but the anger was still there, sharp and raw. Rachel had betrayed me, just like Jake had. I'd trusted the wrong people, again and again, but this wasn't over. I'd find a way to make her pay, even if it broke me. I wasn't going to let Rachel walk away with my money, not after everything. Sitting on Lily's couch in Seattle, I dug through old college group chats, hunting for dirt. Rachel had always been reckless, bragging about scams she'd pulled, fake IDs, skimming cash from gigs. I had screenshots, messages she'd sent years ago, enough to make her sweat. My hands shook as I typed a text from Lily's phone, since Rachel had blocked mine. "Give me my share, or I go to the cops with everything I know." Rachel called back within an hour. Her voice was sharp, defensive. "You're bluffing, Emma." I wasn't. wasn't. I read her a message from 2018 where she'd bragged about scamming a club promoter. Silence. Then, fine, you'll get your cut. 3 days later, $60,000 hit my account. Not all of it, but enough. My heart pounded with relief, but the victory felt hollow. I'd won, but at what cost? I paid off the PI, covered Lily's rent, and started chipping away at my credit card debt. Things were looking up until Jake struck back. My phone started buzzing with weird calls, debt collectors for loans I never took. Strange packages showed up at Lily's Capitol Hill apartment, addressed to me, filled with junk. One had a note, "You'll regret this." My stomach dropped. Jake knew I was behind the drained accounts. He was coming for me. I tried to brush it off. He was angry, lashing out. But it got worse. My credit score tanked as fake accounts popped up in my name. I spent hours on the phone with banks, my voice shaking with frustration. Lily was furious when she found out. "This is why I told you to let it go," she yelled, her face red. I couldn't meet her eyes. She was right, but I was too stubborn to admit it. Then the police knocked on Lily's door. My heart stopped as they asked about stolen goods in the apartment. I knew it was Jake. He'd tipped them off, trying to frame me. They searched the place, flipping through my boxes, Lily's books. Nothing. No evidence. But they found something else, a billing address on one of the packages, linked to Jake in Portland. I held my breath as they took notes. This could be it. The cops dug deeper. Jake wasn't just a thief. He was neck deep in fraud, fake refunds, black market deals, using stolen identities to scam retailers. The packages he'd sent to frame me were part of his hustle. He'd order high-end electronics, claim they never arrived, pocket the refunds, and sell the goods. Sloppy. The police traced it all back to him. Within weeks, they arrested him in Portland. I got the call from Mike, the PI. "Your boy's done. Fraud, conspiracy, the works." The trial dragged on for months. I didn't go. I couldn't face Jake, couldn't relive the betrayal, but I followed every update. The evidence was overwhelming: bank records, fake IDs, my money tied to his scams. He was sentenced to 5 years. I sat on Lily's futon, staring at my phone as the news sank in. Jake had tried to destroy me, but he'd only destroyed himself. I never spoke to Rachel again. She'd vanished, probably running her next con. I didn't care. The money wasn't worth the chaos. Looking back, I wished I'd listened to Lily from the start. Revenge had consumed me, cost me more than I'd gained, but it was over. Jake was behind bars, and I was free. I could finally move on.